perspective to establish his own Maslow's hierarchy and then didn't give them credit. According to the Blackfoot teepee, self-actualization is at the bottom of the pyramid.
I'm so grateful she was able to do this because she brought to light something that needed to be told. And I really appreciate her follow-up video on it where she says that Maslow's hierarchy of needs really kind of fits into the bottom layer of the teepee. But I want to give context onto what she was talking about, and this is coming from the perspective of a Native person. In Native culture, we didn't have a concept for an orphan. Not like you hear about today where there's a child who has no parents and no family to take care of them. That concept just didn't exist in Native tribes. And it didn't exist because we had family members that would always take care of each other. We had large extended families that would always take in people who's lost their parents or family. But the other thing too is that in Native cultures, we had a system set up where people always took care of one another. So their basic needs were always met. So we didn't have to start out from the very bottom and trying to get our basic needs met. We had a governmental system that took care of one another, which allowed us to go on to move to self-actualization, which was really our focus in raising children, was self-actualization. It wasn't something that we achieved when we got to be an adult. Self-actualization was always incorporated in how we raised our children. And we knew that you had to develop the emotional aspects and the mental aspects of a person to help them be self-actualized. So Maslow, coming in from a non-Native culture where there were orphans and there were people who were homeless and didn't have their basic needs met, coming into a culture where that wasn't an issue traditionally for us before colonization because we all worked together for that. So the idea that we could work to keep our community healthy was common. And that was not something Maslow had seen or even understood, which is why he left it off of all of that information in there. She also talks about community actualization and community care. And this is something you hear about today now, that we need community care more in addition to self-care. And this was a widely accepted concept in Native tribes. It was normal, and we called it being a good relative. And it took us a long time to develop these communities, this system of care, this system of taking care of one another. And this was completely disrupted in colonization, placement on the reservations, being oppressed, and put in the boarding schools. Because in order to achieve a level of community like this, you have to pass it on day in, day out by showing it about how you raise your children, and that was completely interrupted. So to compare the two, yes, they can be existing at the same time, but the thing is that with Maslow's system, they came in at a deficit, whereas we were already, in Native cultures, we were already raising our children where we didn't have to worry about those basic needs. And the sad thing is it's all gone now, thanks to colonization. We had a system that worked, and it worked well.